Clash of Clans troops are unstoppable forces that can level an entire village in under 3 minutes. But how strong are they really? I mean, could an average guy like me actually go head to head in a one-on-one fight and come out on top? In a normal fight, absolutely not. Half these troops have weapons or supernatural powers. But what if the playing field was leveled? What if I was handed the exact same set of gear and weaponry that these troops carry? Would it be possible to fight my way through the entire roster? I don't have all the answers yet, but I know one thing for certain. There are a few of these troops that I'm definitely beating up. Before we start, I guess I should provide some details about my stats. I'm standing at about 5'11" or 180 centimeters if I've got my shoes on. Weight wise, I'm sitting around 140 pounds, so I'm definitely in a lighter weight class. Strength wise, I've got some decent numbers. I can bench around 225 pounds, though my squat is a bit lower at only 185. I've also got some actual fighting experience under my belt. I trained in Muay Thai for about 6 months and dabbled a bit in BJJ, so I'm not coming to this completely clueless. You could say I'm technically unqualified to be fighting these troops, but hey, it's better than nothing. And besides, have you seen half of these troops? A lot of them don't even have technique. They just run up and swing their arms around. Now, the first troop on the list is the Goblin, and let's be real, I'm pretty sure anyone watching this could take this guy in a fight. To get a sense of scale of what we're working with here, I hunted down some real life data. The best reference we have is the Clash of Clans collaboration with Erling Haaland. In that video, we see the Skeleton, Archer, Barbarian, Wizard, and Goblin all standing at about 1/3 of Haaland's height. Since Haaland is 6'5" or 195 centimeters, that puts these troops at a measly 2'1". And in terms of weaponry, the Goblin is bringing absolutely nothing to the table. He doesn't carry a blade or a club, he just has an empty sack for loot. Between his small stature and the fact that he's unarmed, this wouldn't even be a fair fight. It would be an absolute slaughter. I'm taking the win here 100% of the time. On that same note, since we've already established the height of some of the other troops, we can really start to test their limits. In my opinion, the Skeleton from the Witch is another easy candidate for a one-hit KO. We have to start with the obvious fact that this guy's already dead. He's literally just a walking pile of bones asking to get beat up. Following the same logic as the Goblin, if the Skeleton is only 2'1", then that sword he's carrying is more like a small butter knife. Even if we didn't level the playing field by giving me a weapon, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't even need one. I could probably just end the fight with a single well-placed kick and watch him shatter into a pile of calcium. Similar to the Skeleton from the Witch, we have the Wall Breaker. Now, at first glance, this guy might actually seem like trouble. I mean, he's carrying a literal bomb, but you're forgetting the most important part, his AI. This guy is hardwired to target walls and nothing else. If I were in a 1v1 fight with him, I wouldn't even need a weapon. I just need a brick wall, and I'd simply duck behind a wall and stand far back enough to avoid the blast radius. He'd sprint right past me, slam his bomb into the bricks, and boom, he's gone. Sure, I might get a few scratches from the flying debris or the recoil, but by the time the smoke clears, he's already blown himself into a pile of dust. Alright, let's stop bullying these little infants and move on to some more challenging troops. Next up is the Barbarian. Now, based on the Haaland video, we saw him at around 2'1", but since he looks a bit more stout, let's be generous and round him up to 3 foot, or you know what, even 4 foot tall. Honestly, it still won't make a difference. At nearly 6 feet tall, I'm gonna be absolutely towering over this guy. The real problem is the Barbarian carries a lethal broadsword that's a couple of feet long, which means he's got some serious momentum in those swings. But like we said, we're evening the playing field. If you hand me the same exact sword, I think this is a wrap. I mean, I've swung a sword a few times in my life, and I imagine it's not too far off from fencing. Since he has much shorter arms than me, I have a massive reach advantage. I could easily keep him at distance, back him into a corner, and call it a day before he even gets in range to swing. Going up another level in difficulty, we have the Archer. She's a unique challenge because she's a marksman, meaning she'd usually try to pin me down with her bow and arrow before I can even get close. So how can I use my fighting abilities to close the gap and take her down? Or is it already game over? But wait, I just realized we're playing by real world rules, and would you look at that, the Archer just ran out of arrows. I knew that would happen eventually, because remember, in this scenario, it's a strict 1v1. You've got no reinforcements, no towers, and no bottomless quivers of magical ammo. Once those arrows are spent, you're forced into hand-to-hand combat. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about the smallest units in the game, the Mites. Even though they aren't traditional troops and usually spawn from other units, they still deserve a spot on the list. Whether it's a Yeti Mite, Frost Mite, Fire Mite, or even a Super Yeti Mite, these guys are all getting taken out in a single hit. Their tiny size makes them almost irrelevant in a 1v1 scenario. Don't get me wrong, they can do a massive amount of damage when they're swarming you in a huge horde, but one-on-one, they won't do a thing. I could easily tank their electricity or whatever elemental trick they've got and just squish them with a single step. Honestly, I could probably take on all these little guys at the exact same same time and still come out without a scratch. Now, let's move on to some air troops. One troop I know for a fact I can take down is the healer. I mean, let's be real, she won't be doing anything to stop me. If anything, her presence is actually a benefit. As I'm attacking, she might just end up healing all the wounds I've earned throughout this entire barrage of fights. It's the only battle on the list where my opponent actually makes me stronger while I'm winning. The next air troop I'm confident I could take down is the minion. Both in game and in a real life scenario, this guy's gonna have incredibly low hit points. I know he's gonna be spitting dark elixir at me, which definitely deals some damage, but I can weave to avoid the projectiles, and if he's hovering low enough, I can just jump up and snatch him out of the sky. If he flies too high, I'll just start hurling whatever I can find at him. I know fighting something in the air is definitely a challenge, especially when you're constantly dodging attacks, but because of his small size and fragile health, this becomes a simple battle of endurance. I just have to stay patient and aim perfectly. Once I land one solid hit, it's game over for the little guy. Now, let's start upping in difficulty. Next up, we got the miner, and boy oh boy is this guy an absolute weakling. I mean, what does he do? Sure, in the game, he mines underground to dodge attacks and maneuver around the base. But that's not going to help you in a 1v1. What's he going to do? Try and dig a hole while I'm throwing hooks? It just doesn't work. And then you have to look at how he actually fights. He's attacking with a shovel. A shovel. That's completely impractical. I just wrestle the tool out of his hands and call it a day. In terms of scale, we can look at some clash-of-clans logic for height. If a builder is roughly a foot taller than a goblin, and the miner stands about a foot taller than the builder, that puts the miner at around 4'1". Even with that extra height, I'm still towering over him at nearly 6 feet. I can easily overpower him with my reach and the weight advantage. And while we're at it, this means the builder is an even easier win. He's only 3 feet tall and his only weapon is a hammer. I'm not losing a fight to a guy that small who spends all his time fixing huts. This also means I can easily overpower and knock out the goblin builder, the builder's apprentice, lab assistant, and the alchemist. I know they technically aren't Clash of Clans troops, and even hypothetically speaking, I wouldn't want to lay a finger on any of them, except for the goblin builder. That guy's had it coming ever since he was added to the game. The next troop on my hit list is the Hog Rider, and honestly, this is the first one I'm generally scared of. Based on height comparisons, the Hog Rider is nearly double the size of a 2-foot skeleton, meaning that he stands around 4 feet tall on his own. When you add the hog itself, which contributes approximately another 2 feet, you're looking at a 6-foot tall unit. And let's not forget that the Hog Rider carries a massive hammer. After tearing through so many smaller troops, I think I finally met my match, a 6-foot jacked warrior riding a beast and swinging a heavy mallet. However, if I'm thinking strategically and if I stretch my luck, there might be a way out. We know that if a hog runs enough laps, it's eventually going to get tired and give up. Also, if we level the playing field and I'm given the same hammer he has, I can use my reach advantage to take him on in a 1v1. With a little bit of wit and the right positioning, I think I could pull off a victory, though I admit I might be stretching my luck a bit on this one. Those were the troops I'm confident I could defeat in Clash of Clans. Let me know if you want a part 2, or if you want me to talk about the troops I wouldn't stand a chance against and what crazy plans I'd need to actually take them down. Thanks for watching, and YouTube thinks you'll enjoy this video next.